Hi guys, what's going on? And welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So today we are looking at the upcoming 3.1.8 patch, or 1.9 patch, whichever one it is, maybe 1.8 I think. And the changes are going to be coming out just sort of based on what's been done in the development live stream and also the development newsletter. And sort of various Reddit comments, we're just going to consolidate it into sort of one shortish video, so we sort of have a bit of an idea of what's going on. So, what are the main things that are changing? Firstly, I think the main thing to say is it's not going to be a particularly large patch. I think with the devs were basically saying with the whole map release and everything they had in the last patch in 3.1.7, so we are 3.1.8 in the last patch, then this is going to be a much smaller one. It took up quite a lot of development time and was, a few months in the works, I think. So most of the changes in this patch revolve around sort of UI changes, interface changes. So the first one is after a battle, normally you just get your little pop-up where you just have your name and your point score, and you can see a bit of a breakdown of that if you want to in more detail of how you earn those points. But it's going to be changing to a much more sort of style of... it's sort of easy to describe as I think it's almost like a Call of Duty type style where there's like not so much a podium, but the person, the most valuable player on a team will be at the front, and then he'll be flanked by sort of second and third, people who do good achievements. And then the rest of the team will be arrayed around at the back. You can head over to the Total War Twitter or the website and stuff and have a look at some of these pictures, or go and view the live stream footage on YouTube, and you can see sort of what it's going to look like. But yeah, it's a good change. It's certainly not a bad thing. It doesn't really add a lot in terms of game content necessarily, but it's kind of a cool little feature change. It's something a little bit different. And yes, that's going to be bringing in. I should also add on, this patch is obviously going to be coming out on Thursday as usual. When's this video going to come out? On Saturday, so it's going to be like 5 days or something to actually get this patch, so not too long to wait. What else is changing on a slight UI sort of scale is premium shop units. So currently there are units which you can only buy in the premium shop. An example of this would be, say, like the Harry Painted Warriors. I did a video on them. Bit of plug for myself. The Harry Painted Warriors, you can only buy them with cash in the shop. You can't buy them with in-game gold. For whatever reason, it's something that carries over a lot from wargaming titles. They all seem to do that. But what they're going to do is now when you buy that unit, you will see it in the tech tree in-game. It doesn't mean you're going to be able to buy them specifically with gold. You'll still have to buy them with cash in the premium shop, but you'll then be able to actually see them in-game. So that's nice. It kind of makes it a little bit easier to work, rather than having to actually flick through the individual menus to be able to see them. You're going to be able to see them a lot easier. So that's certainly a step in the right direction, certainly not a bad thing. And on top of that, a handful of units are actually being moved from the shop to the in-game as well. So just to kind of make this even more confusing. So there's a couple of units that were previously only able to be purchased for cash in the shop are now actually going to be available for gold as well. And these are, there's a few that are kind of interesting. Tier 5 Celtic Slingers are going to be available for gold, not just a shop brought item. I will probably be buying them because I've always heard about them. They're supposed to be quite good, and I've never managed to get my hands on them. So yeah, Tier 5 Celtic Slingers quite good. Tier 4 Spear Brothers, don't really care. Tier 4 Thracian Cavalry, again not really bothered. Dacian Peltasts, they're probably Tier 5. They're obviously both Greek units. And then we've also got the Tier 5 Sarmatian Lancers, which are the Roman cavalry. But they kind of play like the Greek cavalry, really good charge, sort of almost like a cataphract type unit at Tier 5. I've heard they're supposed to be pretty good, and I've never managed to get my hands on them or give them a go. And so they're now going to be available for gold. So that's certainly something I will probably be getting as well. And also the Tier 4 Germanic Scouts. So just a handful of Tier 4 and 5 units for each faction are going to become available for gold. So yes, that's kind of most of the UI changes that are going to be changing for this patch. Although we'll be talking a little bit later about some of the other things that are hopefully to change in the future. What else is changing? Oh yes, they bring the developers brought up in the newsletter about the Praetorians. So I don't know how many of you actually know about the Praetorians. So it's basically supposed to be like a group of almost like super testers who are trying out and giving feedback on new features. They're sort of more experienced game players who sort of know how all the features work, giving more detailed feedback, perhaps based on what the community wants. And yeah, kind of give an interesting selection of feedback, sort of a more detailed feedback. I don't think they're supposed to be someone whose opinion is more valued than the community. But I think it's more supposed to be if the community feels something about a specific issue, then they'll go to the Praetorians to sort of pin down exactly what could be changed to deal with that, or how they think people would most like to see those changes implemented. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. But basically, anyway, they're trying to advertise more, that saying, trying to make it more open, rather than being sort of an elite group that no one really knows anything about. If you want to join them, then they're sort of becoming more open to new applications. They don't specifically say there's not a specific way to join. I think they're just expecting people with good game knowledge who make sort of regular posts on Reddit and that sort of thing, who might be interested in doing a bit more to give feedback, etc. Maybe contacted, or maybe it's worth contacting Sasha or something like that. Sort of having an interest in joining the Praetorians, and that's basically all to that. I'm not a part of them. It's not something I've done. I barely have time to do these videos. Never mind joining another group. So not something for me. But yeah, something you're interested in, then I would recommend maybe dropping Sasha an email, something like that, or a private message. What else is changing? Oh yeah, I see you see me looking off to the right. I've got all my patch notes written down. I've just been trawling through all the dev live stream videos and everything, making notes. The tier 8 matchmaking, I made a video on that sort of probably less than a week ago, or about a week ago. They have received really good feedback about it all, and they've not noticed any major problems from a metrics point of view. So yeah, they're planning to leave the tier 8 matchmaking as it is. So tier 8 for the moment will always be top tier. Only if something particularly prominent comes up that they notice in the metrics in the future will they be changing that. So that's certainly a good thing. Something I didn't really expect. I thought that was only going to be a temporary thing and then get changed. But no, looks like we're going to be having permanent tier 8 metric changes, which is certainly a good thing. Something I'm pretty pleased about, because that makes a big difference, tier 8's not being in tier 10. That's quite a nice step forward. On the thing of metrics, obviously they feel the Capua map release, obviously, which we had in the last 3.1.7 patch, has gone down pretty well. They feel that people are pretty pleased with it, and I think they also said it's having a 51 to 49% win ratio from side to side. So they're pretty pleased with that, because I think they don't want one side of the map to be really unbalanced and have an advantage over the other. Which is why I am on a replay of the Teutoburg Forest map, because Teutoburg Forest is being changed. So currently, how does it look? So they are basically removing the watchtowers, because this side of the map has a pretty distinct advantage for two main reasons. One, because if you start on this side and I move in and capture this watchtower here, you get visibility over this whole arc down here, the enemy artillery position on here, and basically this whole central area of the map. It gives a really strong range, a view range advantage. Whereas the enemy sort of opposing watchtower here, gives view range over what a bit of road no one goes on in their own forest. You get a bit of the middle, of course, but it doesn't give any view range all out here, all over here, which is kind of what is needed. So it's pretty unbalanced. These guys, this side of the map is significantly disadvantaged compared to this side over here. Also, to add on to that, from this central watchtower here can be accessed from both sides of the ramp here, or from the starting positions at the ramp here, whereas this side is currently inaccessible from the middle. You have to go all the way round here, or all the way up this part of the map to actually get to the central observation tower. So instead they're putting a ramp in here, basically, where I'm showing my mouse cursor now, where those stakes are. It's just going to be a ramp up so you can get onto this platform a lot more easily. There's a few other minor adjustments, a few trees coming in, a few bits and bobs, but nothing major. They're the two main changes that are going to happen. I think that's probably going to affect the playstyle quite a bit, particularly this watchtower is going to really balance things out quite a bit more, I think. Look at the damage. These archers are just brutal. Getting distracted. What else has changed? Oh, yeah, kind of a handy little thing. Loading times have been optimised, which is certainly quite a nice change. They're seeing up to 30-second increase in loading time changes. Well, that's certainly a step in the right direction. Even if you already have a really fast computer with an SSD, and you load in pretty quickly. I tend to load in pretty quickly, it's not really a problem for me. But you'll still have to wait for everyone else to load in. And that's something that is going to be changing. So hopefully everyone should be able to get into battles a little bit quicker now. We shouldn't be waiting quite so long for loading times as we do currently. It's certainly a good thing, I think, there. Oh yeah, so something that one of the devs made a comment on, Jamie, I think. Points changes. So it's not something that's going to be coming in this patch. This is going to be for a future patch. But they feel like they're pretty happy with now how battle rewards are in terms of like experience, free experience, silver, etc., etc. That they now want to change how points are distributed in game. So they want to make changes like they want to. So currently you can earn a massive amount of missile block points. You know, if you just go into Testudo and an archer like me continue to shoot at you, you'd get a load of defense points from blocking those missiles. They want to start to change that, either reduce them or put a cap on it, something like that. They also want to reduce capture points. Currently you can earn up to sort of 3,000, which is quite a lot, and they want to reduce that. They also, having just killed one, they want to increase the amount of points you get for killing an elephant. They feel that it's pretty hard work killing an elephant, and I agree it is, you know, although we do quite a good job here with my archers. But as a general rule, yeah, they're pretty hard to kill. So it kind of made sense to make it that the amount of effort you're putting in to kill such a unit should earn you a reasonable amount of points, rather than, you know, even when you're javelins and you have to put tons of effort in to get these kills and then you only earn quite a small amount of points on them. It didn't seem very proportional or fair, so that's something they want to change as well. There was no mention of War Dog points. So that's something I've always been a bit unhappy with, the fact that War Dogs, both the dogs are worth 1,500 points and the handlers are worth 1,500 points, so they've always got like a really high bounty on their head. But I suspect that's something that will probably get changed. It wasn't mentioned specifically in the live stream, but I think it probably will be changed because there seems no particular logical reason for that to not be. So yeah, points are going to be adjusted to the sort of amount of effort it requires, hopefully brought a bit more in line. What else was that? The bulk of the stuff. Someone mentioned again about the Carthaginian spear line. Is there going to be a buff there? They didn't confirm that there will, there wouldn't, but it's something that's being looked at. I think if they're going to do it, it seems like they're likely to be adding ad porters to the spear infantry, which I really don't know how that will work out. It's kind of interesting, certainly, particularly the increased weapon damage could make spears really quite effective. But yeah, that's basically what we're going to be looking at. So possibly add porters to spears, but not this patch. That's certainly going to be in a future patch. What else will there be? Oh, they talked about briefly, in the future there will be tier 10 leaderboards. This is kind of interesting. It's almost like a pre-ranked mode type thing. So once you reach tier 10 and you've done 3 battles on a specific unit, you will then be ranked based on kills, points earned, damage done, etc, etc, spotting points, capping points, defense points, etc, etc, and you'll be ranked on a board, and there'll be 100 players ranked for each different unit. So if I was, you know, with the Praetorian Guard, something like that, or the Imperial Guard, whatever the tier 10 Roman one is, then you might be ranked, you know, if I did really well, I'll be ranked number 1 or number 2, up down to number 100. And if you don't make the board, you'll be then given told your percentage, so how far you are off actually making it onto the board. And I think this is to try and incentivize people to try and get up and play a bit more with tier 10. And they also acknowledge that tier 10 is not quite balanced how they want it to be, and balancing is something that's going to have to be implemented a bit more for tier 10 in the future. And that is pretty much it. There was also some brief mention that they want to change the way progression works a little bit. They feel it's a bit too grindy at the moment, and I can certainly agree with that. Obviously, you know, burning through the experience required to get onto the various equipment, particularly to get into the higher tiers, you know, 119,000 for tier 9s, you know, 215,000 for the tier 10. It means you have to play a unit an awful lot to get there. And that's something that they're probably going to be changing to try and make a little less grindy. So that pretty much sums up my patch notes for the sort of upcoming patch. Oops, my screen gone. It's going to be, be out on Thursday. A few of the things that I've mentioned here, obviously, as I said, aren't necessarily coming out in this patch, but are future changes that we can expect. Yeah, pretty decent sort of changes in patch. Nothing particularly extraordinary coming out, but a few nice little changes here and there, and nothing too controversial that I think anyone's going to hate. Good to see that they're making balance changes to maps as well, like Teutoburg Forest, and generally I agree with the sentiment that Capra seems to be received pretty well. I think it's quite a nice map, so all in all pretty good. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think about the patch changes? Is there anything that particularly excites you or particularly worries you as well? And yeah, subscribe to the channel for lots more Total War Arena content. And thanks guys, I shall see you all on the next video.